perfect game for Roy Halladay.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Phaithful Phanatics podcast, now brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming and offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. For instance, their third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. Their waterproof technology allows for use in the shower, along with a new LED light, which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming. Get 20% off and free shipping with our promo code Phaithful at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com with our promo code Phaithful that can be found on the bottom of the screen here. I'm joined by my guys, Gint, George. Snap, unfortunately, could not be with us tonight, but he'll be back next week, ready to go. Guys, how are we feeling after another rough Sunday?
I just can't remember the last time you asked us how we're feeling, and we were like, great, like, let's get it. It was sad again. We'll get into it, but we're not feeling great out here in Langhorne, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I feel like every time you ask us, it's always, nah, we're not feeling good. We're never feeling good. I feel like that's just the life of a Philadelphia fan. I mean,
well, I think we can explain the life of a Philadelphia fan right here by my guy Dives. First of all, thank you. And also, which we punted to the moon first, the Phillies bullpen or Doug Peterson's play calling? Dives, we'll get into all of it this show. First, it's the Phillies bullpen. I think that's
no doubt.
But we'll get into all of it. But guys, the Eagles but look awful against the Los Angeles Rams and dropped to 0-2 to start this 2020 season. They lose the game 37-19 in a game that the defense looked ill-prepared. Jared Goff and Sean McVay did whatever they wanted to on Sunday afternoon. Jim Schwartz said that they were trying to do too much, and they just looked lost from the jump. And the Rams really did everything that I think we thought they would do. They ran a lot of misdirection. They got the ball in Robert Woods' hands quickly. Tyler Higbee destroyed our linebackers, which we highlighted last week's show, which was an issue. So there were a lot of downs in this game, which we'll break down before getting to Cincinnati this week. But if the life of a Philly fan can be wrapped up in one thing, it's this. It's that I'm openly drinking on a show. So cheers, boys, and let's go. So yeah, Eagles lose again. Carson Wentz, there's 2 more interceptions on Sunday afternoon. He threw for 242 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's now on the year, 512 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a fumble lost, and a 64.4 quarterback rating. Let's start there because I think we're all fans of 11 on the show, none bigger than me, but he doesn't skate free in this mess of an 0-2 start. So what is the problem with Carson Wentz to start the season?
I'll start. I just want to say first.
Me or you, Gint? Is he frozen?
No, he's talking.
Okay.
I'll go first. I'll start by saying if you're watching the show and you think Jalen Hurts should play, just
stop
don't.
watching.
Yeah.
Stop watching.
It's just that interception to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, it was like a really pivotal point in the game, in my opinion. Like that pass. Talk about know your personnel in any sport. Like I just can't throw the ball towards J.J. Arcega-Whiteside at any point and think that he's going to catch the ball. So it's like, I don't know, like that just was another hero play that I think he tried to wear a cape and he tried to swing momentum, and little did he know, deflated everything. And that play was just like, I keep seeing it. I keep seeing J.J. Arcega-Whiteside not even try to make a play for the ball and him try to rifle a pass 35 yards, and it had no prayer of getting there.
I mean, just real quick, I want to comment on that play. First of all, I think that's what pissed me off more than anything is the fact that it was a 21-16 game. Second half, you were down huge in the first half. You come back. Things kind of settled down. Your first possession of the second half, you drive right down the field. Doug calls a great second half game plan, I guess you could say, to start the first 10 plays. He's pounding the ball down the Rams' throat. 1st and 10, Carson rolls out, and it just looked weird. Like he rolled out, kind of set his feet. His feet were, I don't even know how many feet wide. Like he was so spread. And then he kind of threw, not across his body, but back the other way. It was a weird-looking throw to a backside progression. Like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside wasn't the first read of that play. I know other people were saying like, oh, like he was double teamed, like someone was open. No, like someone took a snapshot of the play as the ball was released. He actually had a step on the defender. The safety wasn't there yet, and everyone else was covered, locked down on that play. So, like, I get it, but just the whole mechanics of the thing, George. So again, from what I'm gathering from you is that he's got that Superman cape on that he had to wear for 4 weeks last season to get them to the playoffs with what he had. And right now, he doesn't necessarily need to be doing that, and he's still trying to wear the cape on every play.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so George, is it that, or is it because to me there's a lot of issues right now. There's mechanical issues, like I said, with the feet, like with everything. There's in week 1, I think you saw him still not throwing the ball away. He is forcing too many things. He stares at his number 1 options. He doesn't go from first read to second read if it's not there. There's been a lot of talk of, like we're sitting here ripping Doug Peterson, but there's also a lot of rumors floating around that Carson changes a lot of the plays at the line of scrimmage, and he has almost total control of the offense. I don't know how true that is, but what's your take on Carson Wentz's bad start to the season?
Yeah, I mean, going back to that second half, it was 21-16. We were driving with ease. It felt like if you score a touchdown on that possession, it's a complete.
And George's frozen.
Yeah. But everything he's about to say, I totally agree with. Like, it felt like, especially when they muffed that punt. When they muffed that punt, I was like, oh, we're going to win the game.
Yeah. And
then when we drove down the field, we were running the ball with ease. And next thing you know, like I said, he tried to play a play that I don't think he had to make.
Am I back?
There you are.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we're driving down the field with ease. I feel like if you score 7 there, it's a completely different game. The momentum's changed. The whole first half of shit just gets flipped over, and we're back in this ball game. And Carson, of course, like you said, tried to put on a cape. He threw a lazy interception. Of course, the J-jaw, too. I mean, if you're going to throw it there.
That was the most frustrating part about the play. It wasn't even necessarily the pick itself. Obviously, it was a bonehead throw and a bonehead read. But the fact that it was to J-jaw, like Carson, I love you, man, but
yeah, and I understand like the last game the O-line played bad. It was kind of like a bailout for Carson, but they didn't play bad at all this game. Carson got sacked 0 times. Miles in Boston, they rushed for 114 yards. They had 4.8 yards per carry. They had a touchdown. Like there was no excuse for Carson this game. This was mostly on him. But of course we'll switch it over to defense and we'll talk about how it was also big on that part.
Yeah, I think Doug, staying with the Carson and Doug kind of tandem here because I think they go hand in hand. I think Doug called a much better game than he did week 1 against Washington, but it still wasn't good enough in my opinion. Now, again, no, I'm not sticking up for Carson Wentz. I'm not that's just not what I'm doing. He deserves the blame, all the blame that he's getting right now. He's been awful for a game and a half, okay? But what you saw Sean McVay do for Jared Goff on Sunday is exactly what Doug Peterson should be doing for Carson Wentz. Doug McVay puts Jared Goff. He minimizes what Jared Goff does poorly, and he maximizes Jared Goff's strengths. Doug Peterson doesn't do that. Did you see Carson Wentz rolling out of the pocket a ton? Did you see Doug moving the pocket for Carson? Did you see the screen game getting involved a lot? I know he had the one to Djax that probably would have been a home run play if he makes a better throw. But at the same time, it was an off throw, but it still hit Djax in the hands. He just had to go back a step for it. He still should have caught the ball and made a play. So, Doug's still not optimizing what Carson does on an extremely great level. I've said this on multiple occasions. The whole thing with the Jalen Hurts pick, right? There's a lot of rumors. I said on Tuesday night, I'm kind of going to Rob's side with the whole, this organization is just kind of slowly giving up on Carson and how he sees Jalen Hurts as what he thinks is the next coming of a Russell Wilson type player. 2017 Carson Wentz was Patrick Mahomes the year before Patrick Mahomes. And I will stand by that statement.
That's just a fact.
Get back to what – again, I see your smirk, and it's the truth. Not
I'm trying to hide it.
get back to what you were doing in 2017. And George is frozen again. Again, what's the smirk about?
I just think Patrick Mahomes is a different level.
No. Again,
I get what you're saying.
Literally, he was Patrick Mahomes. I'm saying the plays, the pocket escapes, the throws down the field, all that was Patrick Mahomes.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes-esque. Is that better?
I understand what you're saying. I just found it funny because like that's something that would be said, and Cowboys fans would be like, "Oh my God, Eagles fans think Carson Wentz is Pat Mahomes."
No, but my last thing on Carson Wentz is 2 points. A, does Carson Wentz fumble the ball a shit ton in his career in the first 5 seasons? Yes. But is Carson Wentz notorious for throwing picks? No. Oh. That's why this season so far to me has been so self-inflicted. This 0-2 start is so self-inflicted, and he will be better because he is one of the only quarterbacks in NFL history to have, I forget how many seasons in a row, with 20-plus touchdowns and 7 or less interceptions in a season. He is one of the only quarterbacks, or maybe the only quarterback, to throw for 4,000 yards last season and not have a single receiver have 1,000 yards. Okay? So to wrap up his play, I agree with both of you. I think some of it is mechanical, like having your legs spread like farther than your shoulders width apart, making a throw across your body like that. Just in that pick described it like that can't happen. Okay, backpedaling to throw that screen pass to Jackson can't happen. Step into the throw, deliver the football. But guys, where is Carson missing? He's not missing. Where did 5 miss his throws? 5, Donovan McNabb, I'm talking about, was notorious for throwing the ball at people's shoelaces, right? Mm-hmm. Into the dirt. Where's Carson missing?
Not at the shoes. Not at the shoes.
5. Yeah. So he's forcing the football. That's exactly what's happening. He's forcing the football. He's trying to wear a Superman cape and win the game and make a play that's not there every single possession. And once he gets that in his head, which needs to happen this week, that he doesn't need to do that, it'll be okay. But for everyone, again, like you said, everyone calling for Jalen Hurts to start, or like I saw Damian Woody said earlier, that at some point in time you might see Jalen Hurts this season. Okay, sure. If Carson Wentz continues on this run for the next 5 weeks, but all week 2, guys, are we serious?
Exactly.
That's why I'm so happy that people are not allowed to go tailgate and go into Lincoln Financial Field right now, because they would all on last Sunday afternoon be calling for his head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is if you want to bounce back, if Carson wants to bounce back, what other spot to bounce back than against a Bengals defense? Like this is the game that you need to show that, okay, I've been rough, I've been bad, but I'm gonna prove it. Right. I'm gonna win games.
Right. So
yeah, I mean, they're sitting on 6 turnovers, which is the most in the NFL. It's not fun. It's not fun football.
I believe we have the most turnovers in 6, and we also have like the worst turnover differential.
Right? 5 turnover differential, the worst in the NFL. Yeah.
Like, that's another thing. So that's a great segue, George. Let's get over to the defense. I'm not talking about week 1 against Washington. I'm talking week 2 against the Rams. Regardless of how I guess you could say Carson played, how Doug ran his offense, they gave up 37 points. Okay, I went to bat for Jim Schwartz a week ago, when I said, and I'm not giving up on it yet. It's 1 week, but I tried to sit here and think. I tried to overlook this linebacking core. I tried to say that one of the highest paid defensive lines in football, we're going to play like the highest paid defensive lines in football, and that Jim Schwartz wouldn't call soft-ass coverages. Well, guess what happened, guys? Tyler Higbee scored 3 touchdowns, which we highlighted how big of an issue he would be on Sunday afternoon for the Eagles defense. Never in a million years did I think he would be a 3-touchdown issue against this defense. Nate Gary should never put on an Eagles uniform ever again. And can someone explain to me who the hell he is impressing in the Eagles organization? Because here's the thing, and I said this on Tuesday night, and I'll continue to say it. I'm not sitting here saying TJ Edwards is the answer, the savior, not by no stretch of the imagination. But in my opinion, from what I've seen, TJ Edwards is the best linebacker you have in this core. Did you know that Nate Gary played 100% of the defensive snaps on Sunday? Did you know that Duke Riley played over 70% of the defensive snaps on Sunday? And did you know that TJ Edwards only played like 42% of the defensive snaps on Sunday? How does that happen?
Dude, I just don't get Nathan Gary. I don't get how he's a professional football player.
He played 100% of the snaps. He lost his jockstrap 9 plays.
I feel like they're like, are they seeing something that we're not seeing? Like, I don't understand.
What could you be seeing?
It makes zero sense. It makes zero sense.
It all goes back to the fact that, and again, like Howie drafts poorly. You drafted Davion Taylor in the 3rd round, who's not ready to play football yet. He barely played football his entire life. He was a track star. His parents were track stars. Okay, so the kid can't play yet. Someone said it the other day, and it's so true. Obviously, we know Howie sucks at drafting. And we've seen Sunday night what DK Metcalf did to Stephon Gilmore and the New England Patriots defense, and we drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Did you know that DK Metcalf has 10 touchdowns in his career, and that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, I believe, has 9 catches in his entire career? So, but I don't know. I can't with full confidence sit here and say that it's Howie that overvalues or undervalues the linebacking position, because I think Jim Schwartz always has his entire career. So I think I've never seen a defensive coordinator get so much leeway and not be bothered. Doug doesn't say anything to him.
He's scared of him.
He has the most power and control that I've ever seen a defensive coordinator have. It's unbelievable. And the fact that I heard him sit there and say that, we were trying to do too much and blah, blah, blah. And then Adam Kaplan on his podcast a couple of days ago came out and said that he's getting all his information from members of other teams around the league. And they all say the one same thing. It is the easiest defense to figure out, and they disguise nothing. And I think Dives is reading my mind. Nate Gary has blackmail photos of Jeffrey Lurie. It's got to be a fact. Jeffrey Lurie, Jim Schwartz, somebody. He's got pictures.
Yeah. Same thing with Raul Nato.
And just all across the board, I think the only bright spot has been Darius Slay. The defensive line, you got Javon Hargrave back. Obviously, you expect some rust from him. His first game back, he didn't practice all offseason or play in week 1. Fletcher Cox, hold on, I have a stat for you guys. So, but to get to my point is that this defensive line that's one of the highest paid in the National Football League got less pressure on Jared Goff than he probably saw in scrimmages against the LA Rams defense in training camp. They didn't come close. The only play they got after him was the Brandon Graham sack that forced him out of field goal range, which was a big play at the time. But Fletcher Cox did you guys know that he has 3.5 sacks and 11 quarterback hits in his last 21 games after Sunday? 0 this season, and he carries the highest cap number on this Eagles team at about $23 million. He, all across the board, this defense got their ass handed to them on Sunday afternoon, and it starts with Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we highlighted 2 matchups mainly. It was Tyler Higbee against our linebackers and safeties. He had 3 touchdowns. He looked like Rob Gronkowski in his prime. And then we highlighted Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp had 5 catches for 81 yards, and he was a problem all Sunday.
Nickel Roby-Coleman all week I heard about how NRC was helping out this Eagles team, and he was telling this defense everything he knew from this Rams offense from his time spent in LA. And he got his ass handed to him on Sunday afternoon. Yeah,
I mean, that's what we said. We said we didn't think Slay would be on Kupp much, and Cooper Kupp looked like Julian Edelman. It looked like we played the New England Patriots. It was just so – the defense was so underwhelming Sunday.
And not to cut you off, but the fact that, like, what you highlighted, like, is perfect, because the fact that we sat here last Thursday and we pointed out those 2 things, and the fact that those 2 things actually came true, and that a defensive coordinator – I'm not saying he didn't realize that. I'm hoping he game planned for those things. But are you like at what point throughout the game did you think that Nate Gary couldn't stick with Tyler Higbee? At what point did you think maybe NRC can't stick with Cooper Kupp or Avonte Maddox can't stick with Cooper Kupp? Now I know if you take Slay off of Woods or whoever he was covering and try to move him to Kupp, or if Kupp's in a slot, Slay really isn't a slot corner. I know there's a whole bunch of shit that goes into it. But adjust, man. Like we talked about Doug week 1. He didn't adjust. Brett Brown never in-game adjust. Same thing with Jim Schwartz. He didn't adjust. Like, my God.
It's so goddamn frustrating. Like they won't adjust. The lack of adjusting in-game is just – it's terrible. I mean, Roby Coleman looked lost out there. Cooper Kupp was everywhere. The D-line looked absolutely terrible. I mean, everything about that game on defense was absolute shit.
No, and Marcus Epps is playing a quarter of the snaps defensively.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, nothing really makes sense right now. I mean, fucking negative 28 point differential on the year now. I don't know. Everything sucks. It's crazy how we highlight Cooper Kupp, we highlight the Roby Coleman situation. That ends up being true. We highlight Higbee. That ends up being way more true than we thought. He, like you said, game looked like Gronk in his prime. I mean, it was an absolutely shit show of a game all around, especially on defense.
Right, and there's just so much blame to go around. And I think the most frustrating thing about these two losses is the fact that they were both so deflating. Like week 1, a blown 17-point lead to basically at halftime to a team that doesn't have a name. That's quite frankly a junior varsity team, and then B, to have to lose to a team that, the Rams look much better than I think we expected them to this season in the NFC West. But at the same time, I still believe that the Eagles, on at least roster-wise, are a better team than the LA Rams, and they should have won that game, and they actually got blown out of the building. So with that being said, we played kind of a little game on Tuesday night, and it's the blame game, guys. I'm not talking about just the Rams game. We just picked them apart. Carson, Doug, Jim Schwartz, the Roby Coleman, everyone's to blame for Sunday. They look awful all across the board. But they now are 0-2. And statistically, percentage-wise, teams that start a season 0-2 don't have a very high percentage of making the postseason. So with that being said, who's to blame the most, or in an order, out of Howie Roseman, Carson Wentz, and then the coaching staff and Jim Schwartz and Doug Peterson? Because all of them deserve blame. Obviously, we talked about Carson's play through the first game and a half or 2 weeks. Doug's play calling. Jim Schwartz gets his ass handed to him, gives up 27 and 37 points in the first 2 weeks. And Howie Roseman for just overall, roster construction.
Barry still being on the roster.
And for the fact that you spent this last draft, you made luxury picks, Howie. Does anyone realize that? Jalen Hurts, a backup quarterback that is hardly going to see the field this season, in the 2nd round, that's a luxury pick. Davion Taylor in the 3rd round, who's not ready to play yet at a key position that you need, that you took over Logan Wilson out of Wyoming, who we talked about on our draft recap, who we all really wanted. Drafted for luxury. Kayvon Wallace, he recovered the punt fumble. I think he's got promise, the 4th round pick out of Clemson. I think he can play at some point in this league, but he's not touching the field defensively. Drafted for luxury. 2 through 4, and even farther on, because John Hightower, 6th round selection? He played a lot week 1. Week 2, he only played 10 or 12% of the snaps. Quez Watkins, you drafted later in the draft. He's not playing. You spent the entire draft outside of the number 21 pick drafting for luxury, and you're seeing all the holes this team has. So, guys, we'll say either 1 through 4 or 1 through 3 with the coaching staff being lumped together if you want. Who's to blame?
Wait, is this overall season or just this week?
Season, not last week.
You can go first, George.
Number 1, I mean, it's tough, but I don't know. The thing about I want to blame Howie number 1, but it could also just be the coaching staff. I think I would probably lump Schwartz and Doug together at this point. I mean, Schwartz is obviously worse for this team, but all around this year, it's been both of them. The in-game adjustments is like Brett Brown. Like, it's just terrible. So I'm going to go Schwartz number 1. We're going to go Howie number 2, and then we'll go Doug number 3, and then Wentz number 4, only because I feel like Wentz can still pick it up. I mean, we're 2 games in. He's played shit for a whole game and a half, we could say. But I still have confidence in Wentz. I don't have confidence in Jim Schwartz.
So you are on the board.
Go ahead.
You were on the board of what I said the other night with Dan Orlovsky, saying that Carson's – he said it perfectly in my opinion. Carson's play is problematic right now. He is a key reason why this team is 0-2 to this point, but he's also the solution to this team turning it around.
110%. Like, he's playing like shit. Everyone's going to hold him accountable. No one's not doing that. But if we want to win games and we want to make the playoffs, it's going to be behind Carson Wentz. It's not going to be behind fucking Jalen Hurts. Like, I don't want to hear that. I hate – if we're in week 2 and we're hearing about Jalen Hurts, it's not right. I'm going Wentz number 4. I'm going Howie number 2. I'm going Doug 3. And I'm going Jim Schwartz to blame the most because this defense has just looked like shit throughout.
Again,
it's tough because that's a good point that Carson could easily turn the season around next game and look like the same Carson we're referring to. But I'm going to put him 2. I'm going to put Howie 1. And Doug and Schwartz are on the same level. They both just have sucked. So I'm going to put them – I don't even know.
I know you. It's like I feel like I want to lump them together.
I'm going to go Howie, Carson, and the coaching staff because realistically, we're probably 1-1 if Carson doesn't throw 2 picks against the Washington football team. So that's the only reason he'd probably be above the coaches. But we'd probably be 1-1 if Doug Peterson called a 2 out of 10 game instead of a 1 out of 10. Right. So that's a really tough question. Whoever made that question deserves a raise, whatever they do.
It is tough. For me, Howie Roseman's number 1. He is really – I think Howie pressed all the right buttons in 2017, the Super Bowl run year. Like he brought in LeGarrette Blount before the season started, and he had an extra year left in the tank. No one thought that was coming. Torrey Smith contributed. It was Alshon Jeffrey's first year as an Eagle. He trades for Jay Ajayi midway through the season. He just pressed all the right buttons. Well, we know how he can't draft, and that's becoming more and more of a problem for this team. Like, he's made moves in the past in free agency or trade-wise, like bringing in a big guy like Darius Slay. He made a trade 2 years ago for Golden Tate at one point because we thought they were going to make a run. Like, at the time, they looked good, but none of them end up – like, someone said this the other day. Darius Slay, while he's been the only bright spot on this team defensively – and he's looked great the first 2 weeks. But he's playing at this elite level, and you're still 0-2, and your defense still looks like trash. So, I'm not saying it was a bad move. I love having Darius Slay as a Philadelphia Eagle, and I think he's going to play a key role in this team somehow turning it around. But that's just number 1. Total roster construction, overpaying for this defensive line right now that looks terrible, that couldn't touch one of us. The linebacking position that literally couldn't cover my grandmother. Nate Gary doesn't deserve to put on Philadelphia uniform ever again. So Howie's number 1. I think that Doug is number 2. So because while I agree with Gint that the Washington football team doesn't get momentum and doesn't come back without the 2 interceptions from Carson, the second one, I really can't blame Carson because I think it's more on John Hightower's fault. The first one, 100%. Second one, no. Doug, you had a 17-point lead. Why did Carson Wentz throw the ball 43, 45 times? Why did you run the ball 15 times? 100% on Doug Peterson, in my opinion. And he's not helping out his franchise quarterback. I just think overall, and the fact that, 2017 Eagles win the Super Bowl, when are we going to get over this Doug Peterson hangover that we got for him bringing the first trophy to the city of Philadelphia? Like, when are we going to actually start thinking about what the new norm meant at that time? What is the new norm, Doug? Mediocrity? Honestly, and now again, I know he won our first Super Bowl. I know we've made the playoffs the last 3 seasons. Okay, I do have a lot of respect and love for Doug Peterson, But at the same time, he doesn't get this pass that a lot of Eagles fans give him for winning that championship. Because in reality, like, yeah, you made the playoffs, but you've also made the playoffs in one of the worst divisions in the National Football League over the last 2 years, and you're like a 500 coach record-wise in the last 3 seasons. So, good.
Just to chime in, this city has such a bad reputation of trying to stick on to things. It's like insane. This, like you said, this Doug, like, hangover from the Super Bowl. Like, it's time to move on from 2017. The same thing when Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, that core, they tried to hang on to them when all of them were 5 years out of their prime. And then the whole trust the process thing, I could go on that about forever. So continue your list.
And then
let me just say real quick, like I think the honeymoon stage, we could say, like the hangover it's ending this year. Like if things keep going like shit like this, it's ending this year, even for the fans, for everybody.
Because I think everyone saw this roster, and yes, while there are holes, like the linebackers are terrible, like, but to me, it's a lot of self-inflicted issues. Like if Carson plays better, the defensive line that we know can play better steps up, like this team turns it around, right? But so anyway, and I think also why Doug is pissing me off, because I'm starting not to trust anything he says. I talked last week about the whole Matt Pryor issue, how Matt Pryor was this guy, and then he's not even the guy off the bench. Jordan Mailata is, after there's 3 to 4 injuries on the offensive line. But also for the reason that, say what you want about Jim Schwartz, at least he backed his players. Like Brandon Graham came out today and said that, like, Jim Schwartz, he thought they were going to get their ass chewed out in the film session, and Jim Schwartz took the blame. And Jim Schwartz took the blame to the media and how his scheme was the issue and his game plan was the issue, not the players. Whether that's right or wrong, he fell on that sword, okay? Doug Peterson was asked a question a couple days ago about his franchise quarterback, in which he was asked why you were seeing regression in year 5 from Carson Wentz. And he misheard the question and thought the reporter said progression, and he came out confused. He said progression. And then after he figured out that he said regression, he said, that's a great question. Talk about throwing your franchise quarterback under the bus. That's a great question while you're seeing regression from Carson Wentz. So say whatever you want about Jim Schwartz. At least he'll have his guys back. We know it's a blatant lie that this linebacking room is good. But he said he has trust in his guys. Now, it's a blatant lie. It's a dumbass statement. But at least he's taking the blame. Doug refuses to take any blame from this 0-2 start, in my opinion. And then he made all the comments about how, like, they asked him if he thinks about having a dialogue with Carson more, etc. And he says, yeah, I think about it all the time. Like, I want Carson to be able to come to me and, like, tell me what he saw in this play, and then I can tell him what I saw, and blah, and so on and so on. What do you mean you think about it all the time? You're not having this dialogue with your quarterback? Sal Powell came out and said the other day that he can only go by what he sees on the field because he's not allowed in the locker room this season, obviously. And he said after Carson Wentz threw that J-Jaw interception on Sunday against the Rams, no one went over to him. No one talked to him on the sideline until Carson got up and went to an assistant coach to get the tablet to look at the play. No one said a word to him. There is a disconnect somewhere right now. And if they don't win Sunday, it's going to get ugly. But it's Doug, Jim, Carson, because I think Carson fixes everything.
Yeah. It's just disheartening to see, especially because, I mean, whether you want to admit it or not, the Jalen Hurts pick, that to Carson, that probably looks like you're drafting his replacement. And
I think Howie did draft his replacement.
Yeah, so it's like, and then you see that regression comment. It's like, why don't we like to keep stars in this city? Every time we get a star, we treat him like he's trash. It's really disheartening. And like you said, if we lose this week, things are going to get ugly, and I don't know what's going to happen.
If we actually do lose this week, it's going to be like it's going to be a shit show. Like, the fans are going to be calling for everyone's head. Jalen Hurts is going to be called. It's going to be like, bring in Hurts. We're going to hear nothing but it. It's going to be absolutely terrible. I mean, we'll see. I'm so scared about the Bengals. I feel like we should win with ease. I really do. And I don't know. I just don't know anymore.
Well, I'm glad you said that, George, because let's move on. We just spent 35 minutes talking about the dumpster fire of a team. But it's all true. Like, the blame is all across the board. But did you guys know that in the NFL's modern era, 2.7% of teams that start off with an 0-3 record make the playoffs, but teams that start off 1-2 make the postseason 21.5% of the time. That is a huge difference. And I'll start off by saying this. Let's get into the Bengals preview. Keys to the game offensively, keys to the game defensively, what we need to see from to turn things around. But if you guys thought I called last week a must-win game,
yeah,
it is true now.
Yeah.
This season is over. Pack it up, go home. Not even worth playing the last 13 games if they start 0-3 because they have 0% chance of going anywhere this season if they lose this game on Sunday afternoon.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And I don't want to get into week 4, but it's the next week after that, you play a beat-up team, and it's a different story. So you literally need to win this football game. If you don't win this football game, you might as well take everyone off the field and let the practice squad get
Go home. So, guys, let's start on the defensive side because I feel like there's a lot more to talk about offensively. Defensively, we know that Jim Schwartz needs to be better. This Bengals team does have some speed and some weapons surrounding Joe Burrow. Joe Mixon is off to a slow start, but they still do have a very good running back in Joe Mixon. They have Tyler Boyd. They have a speedy John Ross who, he's not a big name receiver in this league, but he's fast as hell. They have A.J. Green, who looks like he is aging and doesn't look like too much of a worry. But against the Eagles, he'll probably go off for $168. Who knows? And I just think you're going to expect pass heavy. Joe Burrow threw the ball 61 or 62 times on Thursday night against the Cleveland Browns. Get ready for another passing attack from the Cincinnati Bengals, in my opinion. So keys to the game, George, we'll start with you. What does Jim Schwartz need to do? What players need to step up? What matchups are you looking for this Eagles defense to be successful on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, no doubt. Like, going into this game, I feel like it's kind of consensus that you're going to see Joe Burrow throw the ball. I mean, 60-something throws against the Browns was absolutely ridiculous. As long as the defense holds their own, like, this offense should have no problem with the Bengals defense. I mean, on paper at least, I like their receivers. They're young. They got Tyler Boyd. They got John Ross, A.J. Green, obviously, but he's like a vet. But there's no reason why we shouldn't shut them down enough that we can win this game on the offensive side. That's just my opinion. I mean, now that we saw Alshon on the field today, I don't think he's going to play, right? Probably not.
I doubt it, but he had that helmet on.
And so I say
earlier than people think, but
I think with Rieger out, you're going to see more D-Jacks. He looked pretty good in the second half last game. He got the ball thrown to him a few times. So look out for that, I guess. And then just look for Carson to be Carson, hopefully. The O-line played really well last week. He didn't really get much pressure on him. He didn't get any sacks on him. So if the O-line does their job, Carson just needs to perform, and we should win this game with ease.
Again, before you go, can we just take a moment to acknowledge that after all that we just talked about, all the issues with this team, we know the injury history and the start to this season injury-wise. We didn't even mention Isaac Seumalo, the starting guard, and Jalen Reagor being out.
Yeah.
That didn't even come up.
It's not even like a surprise anymore.
That's like on the bottom. That is like on the bottom of the issues list right now for the Eagles, which I never thought I would ever say this season.
And then let me say, I guess I'll say, if the D-line can get pressure to Burrow, that would be just absolutely huge because we didn't do anything last week for it. And we saw, if you watch Burrow play last week, that kid is so accurate with the football. Like, he gets the ball in, he knows where he's going to put the ball. So if the D-line can get pressure to him like they didn't do last week with Goff, maybe get some sacks, we'll see.
All right, again, defensively, what do the Eagles, the keys to the game to win?
Yeah, I mean, the defensive line needs a pulse. They need something. Something needs to happen. Like you said, one sack last week was the Brandon Graham sack that put him out of field goal range. But Fletcher Cox needs to just grow a set and step up and make a play. It's like you shouldn't have to ask this much from him. Just make a play. And then Nathan Gary not playing would be a huge step. But, I mean, he's probably going to play.
He's going to play 100% of the snaps.
Yeah, and then someone in the secondary needs to bring something to the table besides Darius Slay. But other than that, like I said, I think obviously the most important thing is getting to Joe Burrow. You got to make this kid some type of uncomfortable. Like you said, he's so accurate. It's crazy. So that's what I have for defensively.
Defensively, to me, there's so much that needs to be done that like I'm looking for on Sunday. Like, the Fletcher Cox point you made is great because I think having Javon Hargrave next to him, Brandon Graham, Malik Jackson, Fletcher Cox should be eating this season. And he looked so good in that Seattle playoff game last season. I was hoping that would carry over. I know it's only going into week 3, so maybe it will. But the first 2 weeks, he hasn't made a difference whatsoever. And then turnover, like you keep saying, like make a play. Yes, that we had the worst turnover differential in football. And while the offense needs to stop turning the ball over, Carson Wentz needs to stop throwing interceptions and putting the ball on the turf, the defense also needs to force a turnover. Our only turnover is special teams. The defense, you need a strip sack, you need an interception. Like rookie quarterback, get a pick on Sunday. Somebody make a play. And lastly, Cincinnati's going to spread you out. They play a lot of Barrow in the shotgun, single set, no running back, 5 wide. They're going to spread this Eagles team out. They're going to try to pick at the linebackers. I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of bumps and screens and misdirection across the middle of the field. That's where I expect them to try to make a lot of chunk plays, get these linebackers and safeties turned around. But the thing with the defense to me is you're going to know what Jim Schwartz and what Eagles defense you're getting within the first possession or two. You're going to know off the jump. Like if Joe Burrow comes out and goes right down the field like Jared Goff did last Sunday, you know this Eagles defense is in trouble. If they come out with an energy and a new scheme and they're getting after Joe Burrow and they're shutting down the run like they have in the past with this defensive line, you know this Eagles defense came to play today, and it's going to be a long day for Joe Burrow. So look for that. And to me, this defense and the players on this defense are the heart and the energizers on this team. Darius Slay brings a lot of energy. We know what Brandon Graham is. Jalen Mills is trying, and Ronnie McLeod are trying to step up and take over that Malcolm Jenkins leadership role. To me, if the defense isn't bringing the energy in an empty Lincoln Financial Field with no fans, then you're in for a long day. I think this Eagles offense will feed off at the defense if they come to play on Sunday and get after Joe Burrow and maybe give Carson and Doug a short field to work with this Sunday, not the other way around. Okay, George, you kind of touched on Carson Wentz having a comeback game on Sunday. Again, what are you looking for offensively? Because you know what mine is.
I mean, yeah, we're all going to sit here and probably say the same thing. Carson has to play better, but the run's got to be heavy. I'm pretty sure the Bengals are ranked like in the bottom 5 in the NFL in yards allowed on the run this season.
They allow 185 rushing yards per game in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, like we kind of opened up the second half of Sunday's game where we ran the ball down to the 30-yard line. Then Carson tried to throw that bomb. We already covered that. I'm not going to keep dwelling on that. But Miles Sanders, I think, needs to have a big game, which he looked pretty solid Sunday. He didn't look bad. Boston Scott, the running back by committee, has to look good. That's probably my biggest key. Besides, obviously, it's like a common denominator at this point that Carson has to be better. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, George, you touched on it as well. Look, obviously, like Ginn said, we're all going to sit here and say that 11 has to be better because he does, quite frankly. But there are ways for Doug. Here's where I'll say a lot of it, I think, is, and for him, he says his confidence in shot. I think a lot of it's up here right now with Carson Wentz. How do you turn that around as a coach? Well, like Ginn said, the Cincinnati Bengals are like the worst rushing defense in the National Football League. They've allowed 185 rushing yards per game. The Cleveland Browns just ran for almost 250 or over 250 on them last Thursday night with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Run the ball, Doug. It's not rocket science. So while I need Carson Wentz to have a nice game, I'm not looking nor am I expecting or wanting Carson Wentz to be in a shootout with Joe Burrow or Carson Wentz throwing for 365 yards and 3 touchdowns. You know what I want to see? I want to see a clean game out of Carson Wentz. No turnovers. Maybe 230, 240 passing yards, if that, and and 2 touchdowns. Because you need to run the ball down their throats. Move the pocket, roll Carson out of the pocket, and let him pick his spots. Simple. Run the ball 25 to 30 to 28 times. Carson Wentz throws anywhere from 28 to 35 passes. It's historically when he's better and when the Eagles are better as a team. The Buffalo game on the road last season. Thursday night in Green Bay last season. That it was a balanced attack. I said it last week. I said it on Tuesday. I think Carson only threw like 27 and 31 times in those 2 wins. Or in those 2 games. And guess what? Both of them were wins. This isn't the Buffalo Bills defense. This isn't Aaron Rodgers and Lambeau Field. This is a rookie quarterback with a bad defense and a bad offensive line in Philly on Sunday. This needs to be a win. Carson Wentz turns things around. Phillies. God, we'll get to them later. Eagles get the 1-2. And like Ginn said, you can only take it one game at a time when you're in an 0-2 hole. But you get the San Francisco 49ers the following week on Sunday night, who are all sorts of banged up, losing Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas, Raheem Mostert, and Jimmy Garoppolo most likely aren't going to play. They're not playing this week. So just like that, you win this week, and you can't just look past the Bengals or look past the Niners, obviously. But you're looking at what could be a terrible start to a season to a 2-2 season.
Yeah.
2-2, and you're right back. You're right back to.
Especially because the Cowboys are 1-1.
That was a prayer. I can't believe that happened. Sorry, I just had to jump in. That was unbelievable. Like the Falcons suck.
Can you explain to me? Like someone said it. I know it's like a foul ball in baseball when like it's rolling down the line and they're hoping that they're thinking it's going to go roll foul, and they're just waiting around the ball. But do the Falcons know?
That was
Do the Falcons know that the ball doesn't have to travel 10 yards for them to be able to touch it? Only the Cowboys?
Dude, that was
a thought.
I can't even go into that because I'll have a stroke.
That was the most frustrating thing about last week.
Yeah, that was like we went from watching our dreadful, and then the game flips right from Fox, goes right to their game. They come back and win.
But so let me say this, right? So now the Eagles 0-2 get the Bengals. The Cowboys 1-1 get in Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay. If things go the way I think they should go on Sunday, both teams are 1-2.
We're back.
Agreed.
It's that simple. But you can't look at this game as a walkthrough, just like we shouldn't have looked at Washington as a walkthrough. So game predictions, we know that Carson needs to step up. We know that they need to be balanced, and Doug needs to run the football. We know the defense needs to come out and get a rookie quarterback in Joe Burrow and play better than last week. Game predictions, do the Birds come back 1-2 and turn this thing around, or is the season over, pack it up, go home?
I mean, I'll go first. I don't think there's a shot in hell we lose on Sunday. I just don't. And I honestly kind of said the same thing last week almost. I didn't see a loss, but I don't see a loss this week. And I think the floodgates open up. I'm going 31-7 Birds.
Wow.
Damn. Okay.
I'm probably making a mockery of myself right now.
Damn.
Go ahead, George.
All right. I mean, yeah, this is like I just don't see us losing. I really don't. If it happens, then we can all like come back on Thursday and like cry together, whatever we want to do. It doesn't matter. But I'm gonna go Eagles 30, Bengals 14. Pretty good game. Get the job done. Get the hell out of there and move on to San Fran. If
the Eagles lose on Sunday afternoon, you guys can catch me on top of the Ben Franklin Bridge again. That's where you can meet me. I agree. There is no way in hell you're going to find out everything you need to know about this team's energy and their heart and their passion. For whatever reason, and it shouldn't be the case, but for whatever reason, this team plays their best and Doug Peterson coaches his best when our backs are against the wall mentality. It shouldn't be that way. I'm looking for the Eagles team that ran through the league in 2017. That's the team I want to see again. That's my new norm. Doug, okay? My new norm isn't let's lose player after player, let's start out shitty, and then we'll play really well and we'll beat 2 of 3 with San Fran, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh, okay? But their backs are against the wall, literally. Like, the season is, if you guys want to go home, we'll go home. It's over, okay? I don't think it happens. I don't think there's a chance in hell it happens. I'm going to say Birds 34, Bengals 17.
Okay.
So we all got a pretty big margin.
I think I think you see a different Carson Wentz. I think you see a different Doug Peterson. I think Miles Sanders runs for over 120. And I expect Jim Schwartz to call a much better game this Sunday. So Birds win. With that being said, let's move into our picks, our pigskin picks.
Wait, hold on. I just love how we just spent 48 minutes basically just absolutely shitting on everything the Eagles have done for the first 2 weeks, and we all just predicted them to win by more.
Come on, man.
That's how it works. That's how it works,
dude. Because they are better. Like
I agree. That's why I predicted 31-7.
I will stand by this statement. Like I said, I still think they're a better team than the Los Angeles Rams. Okay? I don't care that they got beat 37-19. I really believe that. So if they somehow miraculously lose this game on Sunday, they're to me, they're still the better team than the Bengals.
Yeah.
The season will be over. But yeah, I don't know. But Pigskin Picks brought to you by Manscaped. So last week, guys, Snap wasn't here. There you go. Your balls will thank you.
Your balls will thank you.
Snap actually had a hell of a week. He had the Titans over the Jags. That hit. And he picked the Las Vegas Raiders spread or straight up outright over the Saints. That came to hit Monday. Again, minding your upsets. I took the Giants outright. They covered the spread against the Bears. But I went the outright road, and they lost 17-13. Saquon Barkley goes down for the season. Ginn took the Vikings as his upset. The Colts stomped. The Colts
Rumor has it the Colts just scored again somehow in that game.
No.
And then George, who was your upset last week?
Last week? Yeah. It was I got you. I mean,
well, your lock, which ended up hitting big for me in a parlay. Your lock almost didn't come through to a rookie quarterback.
Which one?
Chiefs.
Oh yeah. That was
bad.
That was scary. That was very scary.
Who did you take?
It's going on.
As my upset, I took Carolina +9.
Thanks for watching.
I took Carolina +9. That did not hit.
Good. No. So we all us three on 1-1. Snap went 2-0.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Unfortunately, we don't have Snap's pick this week, so he'll be back in.
Nope, he gets 2 losses.
I'll start with my lock of week 3, simply because it's who we were just talking about for 50 minutes, and that's the Birds.
I knew it. I
didn't see that one coming.
Let's go. Say it loud and proud. Say it with your chest.
Easy. George.
All right, my lock of the week, it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -6 at the Broncos. I got some stats if you guys want them. Broncos offense through 2 games this year, they're 30th in points. They're 27th in yards per play. They're 30th in third down conversion, 29th in red zone touchdowns, 27th in sack percentage allowed. Tampa should roll. I mean, backup quarterbacks, Courtland Sutton's out for Denver. I got Tampa all the way in this one.
Like it.
Just because that Cowboys fan just commented, I really wanted to make the Seahawks my lock, but I'm not going to. My lock, I'm going to go with the team I picked last week. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals -5.5 versus the Lions, simply because Kyler Murray is awesome.
Yes.
And I love him.
I love him.
I hated him prior to the season.
He's not just a baseball player?
Yeah, I used to call him the left fielder or right fielder, wherever he played. He's a quarterback.
All right. I like it. I think they all hit for you betting men and women out there. Let's get into our upsets of the week. I am going with the Houston Texans over the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're getting 4 points at Heinz Field on Sunday. Look, I know the Steelers are playing well, but there's no way I envision the Houston Texans to go 0-3. They've had a awful go of it so far, getting Kansas City on the Thursday night game when they're raising their Super Bowl banner. then they come home to get Lamar Jackson, the MVP, and the Baltimore Ravens, who just stomped them. And now you get to go on the road and play Pittsburgh. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be pretty. But there's no way I see Deshaun Watson going 0-3 this season. So Houston Texans are my lock. Again?
I was caught up between two games here. The Packers are getting 3. And what was the other game I looked at? I don't remember. But I'm going to take the Packers +3. Actually, I'm going to take the Packers outright against the Saints.
Outright.
Yeah, the Saints looked like sheesh. And everyone was saying that Michael Thomas is only as good as he was because of Drew Brees. Might be vice versa.
He
looks like an old man.
It's vice versa. George, your upset of the week.
Yeah, grab my upset of the week, buddy. You're good. You're good. I'm actually going tonight.
He froze. But I know where he's going because I took that bet too. I took that bet too. Miami money line.
There he is.
Miami but take the +3 and then sprinkle the money line. I think they cover, but I think they win outright. I really do. I think that's their game tonight. I think the Jags before this game, like before the season, the line opened up as Miami -3. So them losing to the Pats and the Bills should not move the line to +3 Miami. I'm taking it. Take it.
If Gardner Minshew starts out 2-1,
it's not. Yeah, no, dude, come on. Gardner.
I give up the season.
Yeah.
Put that comment up, please.
What?
The comment.
You would like this comment pulled up? I really wanted to ignore it, but I'll allow it.
No.
No. Crawl back. Harlem Cowboy. I don't know who you are because you have a fake name up there with a Cowboys logo. You won't even say what your actual name is or put up a picture. Crawl back into your hole, okay? Because if the Falcons don't fold like an IKEA table, okay, then you're 0-2 as well, and you wouldn't even be watching and coming out of your fucking dirty asshole. I'm sorry for the language. I never curse like this on this show, but my God, dude. And I'm sorry, I forgot that Carson Wentz has Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper around him. I forgot about that. Sorry. So come back on in Week 17 when the Birds come back down 0-2 and win the division, and Dak doesn't throw it. Dak doesn't get 7 with division on the line again. Okay? Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Wawa. It's the Corona. I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's wrong of me.
Phillies?
Touch on the Phillies a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Another disappointment. Here we go.
Hey, we're in the playoff push.
D'Antoni while we're at it. Jesus Lord.
No, we can if you want to. I got all the time in the world right now.
This city's going to burn down. Like, it's just going to burn down.
We'll start with the Phillies. Actually, start Sixers again. You struck a chord with me.
I'm down.
So now there's a bunch of rumors floating around. We touched on it last week. If you guys watched that, there was the rumors of Ty Lue, Billy Donovan, and Mike D'Antoni as the 3 top choices for Sixers head coach on. Billy Donovan is now with the Chicago Bulls, so that leaves Tyronn Lue, and that leaves Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni, again, I'll let you guys touch on this more, but he could not be a worse fit for how this roster is constructed. Now, do I expect pieces to be moved? Like, do I expect to see Al Horford? Maybe, like, I expect a lot of moves this offseason. I've heard a lot of reports that the Sixers are going to be active this offseason. They're already linked to Buddy Hield. But now there's the rumors of D'Antoni's becoming the favorite. And if that's the case, he could lure Chris Paul here. And then I also saw something that he could lure James Harden here in 2 years when he's a free agent or via trade. No,
I'm good.
Thank you. I give up. If that is the case, I am out. I'm done watching. I will not watch anymore. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. I saw, like, I don't know if it was a post last time. It might have been like one of those fake Instagram account posts, but it said that if he gave his blessing for the D'Antoni hire.
And yeah,
I don't quite understand that. Maybe that's his way of getting out of here because I don't see how he fits. I don't know. Brian Jacobs, shout out Brian Jacobs, the GOAT. He tweeted that the Sixers were getting Ty Lue to try to like lower his asking price, but there was mutual interest with the Sixers. I just don't like. I don't see how you hire a guy that doesn't like centers and loves guys that shoot the ball, and your best two players are a center and a guy who doesn't shoot the ball. So we could get James Harden, we could get this, we could – I don't know how you do that with the roster you have. I like Ty Lue, and at this point I'm begging for Ty Lue because I don't think D'Antoni is the answer.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I really don't want to do this, but –
yeah, I saw it too.
Hold on. Who won the division last season?
Hold on. Who should have won the division last season?
Which quarterback had all the weapons minus CeeDee Lamb that I just named to you that Dak has? And which quarterback had Greg Ward as his number one option with Mac Hollins, Deontay Burnett, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Boston Scott? And which quarterback didn't get the ball in the end zone with the division on the line?
Yo, listen.
Back into your hole.
Listen, kiss the Super Bowl ring on Carson Wentz's finger. Come on.
Yeah.
Stop playing.
Dude, I'm 22 years old. What do you have? 2 playoff wins since I've been alive? I'm not even – forget the Super Bowls. You have like 2 playoff wins since I've been alive.
Yeah. Off to that, just to get off that absolute garbage comment. Yeah, I don't see how D'Antoni works. I don't even see how a James Harden trade happens that they're saying that might happen. What do we have to – I assume Embiid would have to be involved. I don't see any other way around that.
Someone had said Ben.
Well, regardless, one of them. I assume one of them will have to go. There's no way around that.
And if that's the case, then Elton Brand completely lies because he said in his first press conference that, he's in control and he's finally in control now. He has all the power. Before it was like by committee type thing and everyone had to say it's his say and he's not moving Ben or Joel. Here's what I'll say about this. Not only could he not be a worse fit for how we're constructed right now, you will completely – what will the process have been for it? If the result of it is trading one of the 2 pieces in Ben and Joel for a guy in James Harden who is notorious for fault, like just collapsing in the postseason.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. We got rid of Brett because Brett couldn't get done in the postseason. So what? You go get the coach that's never been able to get it done in the postseason and the guy that's never been able to get it done in the postseason. I don't understand.
Right. And my last point is you got rid of Brett because he couldn't make it work with Ben and Joel, right? So if you turn around and get rid of one of 2 of Ben and Joel, then what would not that I want Brett here, but what was the point in letting Brett go then? Like, isn't it to bring in a guy like Ty Lue to make it work, like to get Ben to shoot, to get Joel into better shape and make him the most dominant big man in basketball? You're seeing probably the next most dominant big man in the league and battling LeBron in the Western Conference Finals right now. They should be up 2-1. And I'm taking Joel 10 days out of 10 against Jokic.
Yeah, the coaching thing is crazy, but not George, did you want to add anything?
I mean, the amount of people that like are on the Mike D'Antoni train that are Sixers fans, like it baffles me. It makes 0 sense to me why people like him. I think like the only thing I can think of is he's a name and people are attracted to big names. And can we also mention like the James Harden shit? Like he's gonna be 33 in 2 years.
Exactly.
It's not like you're getting. I don't understand any of it. If they hire Mike D'Antoni, it would make 0 sense to me. It would make 0 sense for this.
And I'll tell you why I think that, because it is a little bit like you have to admit at a certain, like we're sitting here and I'm ripping James Harden. Now I want no parts of that. Okay. But it is a little bit intriguing. Let's say you move Ben as part of the deal and you have the most dominant big man in basketball with, let's say, surrounded with James Harden and who, like, you know what I mean? Like it is a little bit intriguing to have that like the star power. I don't want it. I'm just saying
giving up Ben to me right now.
Of course, it's intriguing. Like it's James Harden, that's the name, but it's just in the long run, it's not something that makes much sense. Like I definitely feel like this offseason, you're gonna see names like Jay Rich and Al be talked up and probably moved. Maybe we'll see, but I still don't think that is enough to hire Mike D'Antoni. Like
I don't think there's any doubt that Al Horford is a Sacramento King and Buddy Hield is a Philadelphia 76er.
I'll take
I don't
that.
think the same thing, but now that the Bulls hired Billy Donovan, dude, I would be asking everything I can for Zach LaVine, dude. Bro, if we could trade Horford, Jay Rich, and Shake and a bunch of – dude, Zach LaVine's the man. Al Horford's Billy Donovan's guy.
Let me ask you guys one more question before we move on to the Phillies. Because I think we've talked about it a little bit, and I love the kid, okay? But when I hear the phrase Matisse is untouchable, do you guys agree or disagree with that? I don't. Like, depending on what you're getting back, obviously I'm not throwing him in as a combo for, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would throw Tease in as a combo for a 35, 36-year-old point guard and Chris Paul, or however old Chris Paul is now. I don't think I would do that. Like you're saying, like if you have to go, and I wouldn't throw him in for Buddy Hield because I think you can work other packages to get a guy like Buddy Hield. But if you're talking Zach LaVine, if you're talking Bradley Beal, a player like that, you're telling me Matisse Thybulle is untouchable?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is everyone says he's untouchable because he's our only piece. Well, to get players, you have to give up pieces. So but I do agree with you with the whole Buddy Hield thing. I don't think T should go in a Buddy Hield deal. I don't think he should go in a Chris Paul deal.
No,
but
I think the Sacramento Kings are the only team in the NBA that have any interest in Al Horford.
Take him.
I don't know how. I don't know how you look at that play and look at that contract and think, hey, give me him and I'll give you a Buddy. But honestly, what it could be is the fact that they wanted Al before. Maybe they think that they can make it work. Like it didn't work with him and Joel and Ben. They can make it work. And I think so he needs a change of scenery. I think it's the same thing there with Buddy. I think they know that it's time for Buddy to get a change of scenery. I would love to have Buddy Hield in my backcourt as a Sixer.
100%. I think next to Ben, he's a really, really solid fit. I think any scoring guard realistically is a great spot next to Ben.
Can we? I just can't believe. I'm trying. I really want to get off the basketball talk, especially because we're one win away from watching Jimmy Butler get to the NBA Finals. I can't believe that I myself and I don't know, George, you said it before, and a lot of other Sixers fans, we actually bought in and believed for a second when we went like that big free agent frenzy day last summer when we saw the roster, when we made the trade for Jay Rich with Jimmy, when we brought in Al, Max Toby, blah, blah. We saw the starting five and actually said we bought into the fact that this team was one of the biggest, longest teams, best defensive team in basketball, and we bought in that this team could compete for a championship.
We're ring chasing. That's what we thought.
Over the Ben, JJ, Jimmy, Toby, and Embiid five. I'm not saying it was possible at all to keep that five. It wasn't. But what I'm saying is we tried to mask, like we tried to believe that this five would be better than the last five.
Yeah, just before we jump off on it, dude, I'll say this: Al was really bad this year. Don't get me wrong, and I don't think it fits well, but I still right now, if we played the Boston Celtics with a healthy roster and they had a healthy roster, I still think we are better than them. I do. And I think that with Ray Brown as our head coach.
I watched a Boston Celtics team that looked dynamite against the Sixers and swept the Sixers last night. And of course, I take the odds boost and Tatum scoring 25 plus and Celtics win last night. Tatum doesn't score a bucket. Tatum doesn't get a bucket in the first half. He comes back, has an amazing second half. He gets the 25, and I've never seen the Boston Celtics turn the ball over more in a game or in a fourth quarter than they did last night. They were atrocious last night. And then I'm watching Tyler Hero knock down bucket after bucket. And he doesn't just do it from range, dude. He doesn't just knock down threes all coming all around a screen or catch and shoot. He can get to the rack.
He is tough. But, I mean, if you want to jump off
he's certified.
No, he's approaching certified. Jaylen Brown just got certified this postseason.
Right, except he's disappearing.
Yeah, like a ghost.
Yeah.
Tyler Here's about to take his certification.
Right, let's move forward. Definitely the longest Phaithful Phanatics episode we've ever done. And I don't know if that's the Manscaped package that came in today that's got me so hyped, or the anger that the city puts into my body. Like, and Missinelli, I don't know if you guys heard today, he was talking about the Phillies and the Eagles, and he said he needs a sports IV. He's like, you're just getting drained right now by I don't know. But let's move on to the last segment of the day, and that is the Philadelphia Phillies, who are somehow – I have a feeling the segment's about to be negative, but they're in the thick of things for a playoff race.
It's the same exact thing as the Eagles. Yes.
So let's put it this way, guys. They are half game out of second place, obviously, with the expanded playoffs. The top 2 seeds in the standings in every division make the playoffs. So the Miami Marlins are half a game ahead of them right now with a game in hand. The Phillies are off tonight. The Miami Marlins play in Atlanta against the Braves. And then each team will have 3 left. The Phillies in Tampa against the Rays, and Miami in New York against the Yankees. If Miami loses tonight, they and the Phillies are tied for second. Miami gets the tiebreaker going into the final series of the weekend. Here's where I stand. We've had to watch a third straight September collapse with this Phillies team.
Yep.
If the bullpen just doesn't blow a handful of those games. Did you know the bullpen not only has an historically bad ERA, the worst ERA in baseball, and a historically bad ERA in the history of the game, they've also allowed over 40 home runs in the games they've pitched. This is a 60-game season, right, guys? And we still have 3 left, so we played 47 games. This bullpen's given up, I believe, 42 or 43 home runs. That is unbelievable. If they save a handful of those games, we're talking about a Phillies locked up 2 seed right now.
I think the worst part is like when we acquired Hembree and we acquired Workman, I was so happy. Like
David Phelps was a huge pickup in my eyes, and he came here and it's been
like I love Brandon Workman in Boston. I liked Phelps in Colorado, and then they come here and Milwaukee. That's my bad. But you bring Workman here, and he looks like the worst fucking pitcher you've ever seen, like in any bullpen in the MLB. It's like it's absolutely frustrating. It's terrible. If we don't pull a handful of those leads, we're probably clinched up right now.
Yeah, I talked all about Clentak and the JT situation in the bullpen last night on Spitballing with me and Mike Small. But can I ask you something? Like, obviously, when he first came here, David, and I'm not saying David Hale again. Like, same thing with TJ Edwards. He's not the answer. He's not a big solution. But he throws David Hale in those bullpen games of doubleheaders. And the last bullpen doubleheader game, he threw, I believe, 3 scoreless, and then he put him out there for the 4th, and then things got a little. So he threw 3 very good innings for the Phillies and Joe Girardi. And I'm not blaming Joe Girardi whatsoever. This bullpen is 110% on Matt Clentak. Joe Girardi is just playing with the cards he's dealt. Okay, so for anyone that sits there and goes, maybe Gabe Kapler wasn't the issue, but
come on,
asinine. Because if the bullpen wasn't built this way, the Phillies would be in first place. Okay, so it's not Joe Girardi. So, but why I'm not sitting here saying, David Hale would be a nice piece, but like if he can throw 3 scoreless in a start, couldn't he pitch a little bit more? Like I keep seeing before Hembree got hurt, I keep seeing Heath Hembree and I keep seeing Brandon Workman and David, and they just keep getting rocked. And David Hale isn't getting pitched unless it's a bullpen game. That's one mistake. So I guess to wrap things up here, guys, where do we stand? Because our next episode will either be a end of the season Phillies, how did things go, or we're in the playoffs.
That's crazy.
The regular season ends on Sunday.
That's crazy to think about, dude.
Yeah. So with that being said, and isn't it so crazy how one of the first shows we did all at the 4 of us in the studio, we were sitting here talking about like the Marlins situation with COVID, And then the Cardinals got it, and everyone's like, oh, how are they going to finish the season? And now here we are almost in the postseason, and it's been kind of clean since then, except the one false positive.
Another September collapse. I mean, it's just tradition now. I mean, come on.
So here's where I stand, and then I'll throw it to you guys to wrap up. I said it last night on Spitball. My plan, my vision for this Phillies team, I actually believe they make the postseason because I think it's the most Philly thing the Phillies could do. And that is collapse in September, drop 2 games with your two biggest starters in Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, lose 2 of their starts, and then end up winning. You saw what Zach Eflin did last night. So the plan that I laid out was I think that they effed up the wild card position. They dropped too many games at the end of the season right now in September. They allowed too many teams in the Giants, the Cardinals, the Reds, the Brewers to get lumped up in a cluster for this wild card spot. I don't think that's how they get in. They can, but I don't think that's how. The 2 seed is what I'm thinking. And that is because all year we've been waiting for this Miami Marlins team to come back down to earth, right? Like there's no way they can sustain being a decent team in this league. And they have for almost 60 games now. But they got 4 left. And I said last night the Phillies were a game and a half out. The Phillies had to take 1 of 4 in Washington and win last night. That shouldn't be too much of an ask to only win 1 of 4. They do that. I said the Miami Marlins would have to lose in Atlanta against Max Fried. They do that. Well, now here we sit. Miami 4 games left, Phillies 3. Phillies half a game out. I think that's how they get in. The Marlins have to play in Atlanta tonight against the Braves. Then they get 3 against the Yankees. I understand the Yankees have a postseason spot locked up, so you don't know who they're going to start, how long those starters will go. If Judge and Stan, if they're just trying to get healthy, who knows? But I truly believe that the Phillies get in as the 2 seed, not as the wild card.
I'll go first, George.
My bad. I didn't hear the end, Dill. You were skipping. Sorry.
I said that I believe that the Phillies make the postseason as the 2 seed in the NL East, and not the wild card because I think they've that's too much of a cluster now. They messed that up.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with it. I think if we're gonna make the playoffs, we're gonna come in second in the NL East. I think we have a really good situation right now. Like I know we have to play Tampa. I know it's gonna be tough. And game 1 is Charlie Morton against Vinny. You never want to see that, obviously. But then after that, you have Wheeler and Nola on the mound, and that's perfect for the situation.
Well, the thing is, you don't, not to cut you off, but you don't know how long Morton's going to throw.
Yep.
I said with the Yankees, you don't know what they're going to do because they have a spot locked up. The Rays have a spot locked up.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know. Morton might only throw 3 or 4 innings, and then you get into their bullpen.
Yeah, I was thinking I was gonna say that too because like now that they're all clinched up, you don't know. And I think it's great that the Marlins have to go through 1 more against Atlanta, and then they have 3 more against the Yankees, and we're not going to see any. We're going to see no Sixto Sanchez in those games, so that's also huge. I think, like I still have confidence that we get the 2 seed in the NL East. I still think it's going to happen, but they just have to go out and prove it. Like it's not on the Marlins now. You don't look at that scoreboard; it's on them. It's if the Phillies can't perform, they're done. Like this is playoffs right now. Like you're in playoffs. You have to win. These are must-win games.
Right, and Bryce with a bad back is literally just trying to will this team to a postseason.
And he's fucking doing it.
And again, here's what I'll say before I throw it to you to wrap up. You can say whatever you want about this team. Don't question their heart. Like don't at least the lineup. Bryce Harper has been battling back issues all season long. He comes out, hit 2 home runs the other night. He's literally trying to will them to a postseason spot. Okay, that's all he wants. JT Realmuto on a contract year. Everyone knows what's going on in the world with JT Realmuto and the Phillies and contract negotiations. And he's playing not at 100%, risking that money to get this team to the postseason. Okay? So don't ever question if Bryce Harper is worth the money, if this team wants it. They want it. And will Bryce Harper get them there?
It's kind of like the Eagles where you just kind of shit on them for however long we did. But I'm going to say yes as well. I think they're going to get the 2 seed, and I think they're going to make the postseason. It just comes down to if this bullpen can maybe put a few games together where they're not absolute garbage. Like if I had to compare the Phillies bullpen to a football player, it's Nathan Garrett. Like it works out so perfect that they're both in the same city. So I'm going to say they make it.
here's what it is, though. I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to go the other way because, to me, the starters have to go 7+ in these last 3. Vinny's going to be tough, but the fact
He's
that
not 7.
he went 7 in the third last time, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he did. He did.
And then I think you get those 7+ out of Nola and Wheeler to wrap up. That throws a wrench into if you do make the playoffs, that throws a wrench into who's throwing game 1 for you. So that's a little rough, but that's where I'm at. The starters have to give you 7+ strong innings. And when I say that, I don't mean an Aaron Nola 4-run start. I mean an Aaron Nola 1 to 2-run start, Zach Wheeler 1 to 2-run start. Yeah. So with that being said, any last comments?
I mean, I think it's going to come down to that Aaron Nola game, and if it does, I think we're going to see our ace Aaron Nola go out there. We're probably going to see. Hopefully, we see that 7-inning, 4-hit, no-run performance that we'd love to see every year from Nola, and I just want some playoff baseball back. That's all.
Yeah. Well, it will no doubt be Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler's biggest start to their career. I just want a red October as well. So go Phillies. Let's see if they make the playoffs. Go Birds. Let's see if they can turn it around and get their first win on Sunday. Let's hope the Sixers do not hire Mike D'Antoni. If you're a betting man or woman, Miami money line tonight. There's no way Gardner Minshew goes 2-1. And this was our first episode partnered with Manscaped. If you're watching, if you see this, we're going to tag it. Use our promo code Phaithful. That's with a PH right at the bottom of your screen, Phaithful, and get 20% off with free shipping for all Manscaped products. Thank you guys for watching. Go Birds.
Go Birds.